Oh, welcome back. It's the worst nightmare you can ever think about, but that's exactly how we're looking at this issue. It's played out a couple of weeks and months, just exactly how this happened has left a lot of people wondering. First, it was an incident in Port Harcourt where a guy, lady made an order for iPhones, and then the company, the online company, brought the product to the customer. And then the next thing we hear, the person was killed and the products taken. That was one instance. The next was a vehicle. This was an Uber vehicle this time around, and then got to the customer. Customer gets into the vehicle, and then at some point strangled. The driver is thrown along the road, and the vehicle taken to Delta State, according to the police. Uber responded saying that the app was turned off, and so exactly may not be responsible, but got my mind thinking, going online to find out a number of incidents happen outside Nigeria where these sort of online transactions have happened, where you get into the physical space, and then the possibility that this could happen is what we're talking about this morning. Frank Oyorhigho is a security consultant. It's a pleasure to have him join us this morning, and I'm sure this probably got your mind thinking about the sort of security background checks that are not done when this sort of online transactions happen, and unfortunately could lead to death. What do you think can be done? Because I've taken my mind around everything that could have happened. Get mobile policemen to escort online companies, or a vehicle to escort with a mobile policeman or a soldier. What exactly is the easy way out of this?
Okay, thank you. Now, first of all, the whole issue is being taken at the top. We need to get to the bottom. So what is the cause? Because it could be killing for money. It could be killing for the item, like the Uber one. The killing is they wanted to sell the vehicle for ultimately killing the man, ultimately taking the vehicle, selling it, and making money. The other one, he liked the product but didn't have the money. So money is the center of the whole issue. That's on one side. And then two, when we get involved, when we see things that work elsewhere, we don't just jump on the success story of those things. Let's go back and say, apart from the selling, what else do they do to protect, or as an insurance, or to protect people working for us, to protect the item and all that? So if we look at that killing, we are talking about it now because money is involved. What if it's for ritual killing? So it will also be an attempt, it will also be a way of getting people to be killed for ritual. You just call them and say, I want to buy XYZ. You say, oh, you pay, then I pay. The person will deliver it. When the person delivers it, you don't care about the money, you kill the person and take the part that you want to use. So the killing, for all these killings, let's go back to the root cause of the killing. And that is, one, people are hungry. Number two, the people are seeing the lifestyle of the politicians and government officials and the rich men. Now, number three, the dichotomy is too much, so people want to, match up. So now, coming to your question, for me, as a security person, if they want to curb that, number one, technology is going to play a very great deal. Now, I understand the app was switched off and all that. What about putting the app inside the vehicle instead, just like we do trackers, okay? So, and be able to track the vehicle wherever it's going, or track the machine, the motorcycle, and all that. So we need to look at technology very well. That's why I said, if you are copying things from other countries, copy it totally. Don't just take the franchise for the business side. What of the social effect, the security aspect of it, the economic aspect of it? Take it in total. But what we do mostly in Nigeria, because we are so concerned about the financial or the economic success, we just jump on it, not looking at the other things. Sometimes again, we jump on it, see that some of these things are expensive. It's okay. Let us just start. As we make money, we'll be taking care of those other areas. So lifestyle is a problem. The government, the treatment of the citizens is another issue. The inequality in this society is another issue. So for me, technology will play a great role in this
Okay,
issues.
let's expand more on the technology and how it can play a great role, because people have talked about, you are a background check consultant.
Yeah.
People have talked about the challenge of anything done online. Why? Because you have reached, there's no physical contact per se to the point of delivery, which was the case.
Yeah.
So how do you do a background check on such a transaction? Is it ever possible to have such a platform as to know who really you're dealing with, or in any way do any sort of profiling when, I mean, it's not physical contact?
Yeah, okay. Yes, background check is very, very important, and it's possible. But let's look at it from two angles. Now, the first angle is the generality of background check as a culture. The government says background check is a must, just like they say insurance is a must. So when you buy your car, you factor in the amount you're going to use for insurance. So the same thing, when you are doing anything, you factor in the aspect of background check because it has become compulsory. So if everybody, landlords, employers of labor, now exercise background check or take background check as a policy, is going to put a check, first of all. So you're going to reduce the desire.
Sorry, let me stop you again
Yes.
and probe a bit further to say, if you were the creators of the platform, I
Yes.
mean, just for interaction purposes, you know that already is not a physical transaction.
Yes.
What do you envisage that can be put in the platform
Yeah,
to, of course,
I'm
to
coming,
aid that?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm coming there. But we can't take that in isolation. That's why I'm going to the generality of the society. If background check becomes a compulsion, it's going to reduce the desire to commit such crimes, because you know that your information is with your landlord, your information is with your employer, your information is with your neighbor. So that reduces that desire to do that. Now, coming to the issue directly. Now, first thing is, people want to buy. If I call you now and I tell you that I got your number from somebody, the first thing you're going to ask is, who gave you? And if I tell you my name, because now you have Truecaller, the first thing you're going to check is check the number and find Truecaller to say, who is this person, what the person's name. You now match it vis-a-vis the name I told you that I called myself. So with that, you now know, okay, this person, do I know the person or I don't know the person? So that same way, technology is going to play. So background check is going to come in when a person calls and say, I want to buy XYZ. Give me the details of who you are, where you are working, or the kind of business you do, people that are related to you. Though it's going to make the process long. But then again, the person will understand that this is the policy. So if you can't stand the policy, then don't buy. So we shouldn't run and make haste in saying, oh, because this person wants to sell. And something happens because of this target, you give people a target, and then somebody makes a call, say, oh, I'm going to meet my target now. So now, as a matter of policy, before you buy anything in Nigeria, because abroad, this background check is a prerequisite right from when you were born. Your data is being sent to a central database. So it's not difficult to detect people. But here we don't have that. So, but with background check, gradually, if it's made as a policy, gradually we begin to get this data, which will now latch on as time goes on. But for the short term, in the long term, we'll do background check and become a policy. But for the short term, when people call to say they want to buy anything, let them send their profile of who they are, and then you check the profile vis-a-vis where they say they work. If there's any discrepancies, then you don't send anybody there. So that's on the short term. And technology is going to play a great role in that as well, because I can tell you anything. I can tell you I work in CBN. I can tell you I work but how do you verify? So that's where technology is going to come in.
When you talk about technology, at the click of a button, you can get what you want in the fastest time possible.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
At the click of a button, you can get what you want at the fastest time possible.
Yeah.
You talk about background checks. Nigerians are generally impatient. And we know that even with the killings we've seen with these transactions is a recent development. First question, how do we, can we nip it at the bud at this time? Because knowing that we haven't had any previous cases of something close to it happening and the cases are resolved. These two have happened and we knew exactly what happened. Is this going to give people or people who work with this company, Succo, the company Succo itself, that knowing that security agencies can handle the problem? The first question. And then the second question, are we going to be successful? Are online business owners going to be successful with this background check? With the customers have to do a background check? Because we're talking about, we moving forward with business, people doing things at the click of a button really fast, and then we have to deal with this.
Okay, thank you. Have you been to airport outside Nigeria where Nigerians are there? They go through all the process of clearance without complaining. Pull your shoes, they pull their shoes. Remove your belt, remove the belt. Remove your jacket, remove the jacket. But when you turn the table, they are in Nigeria, they become impatient. So, because it is a standard, so the government has to make it a standard and also tell the operators that this is the standard that we want. So, being in haste, snapping your finger may not work in some things. So the stakeholders have to be called together and say, look, government is going to make a policy that is going to help you, and you need to latch into that policy and cooperate with us. And then you see, the human mind is very flexible. Change is one thing that is difficult, but over a period of time, they will adapt. So the issue of being in a hurry, no matter how in a hurry you are, if there's hold up, you have to wait. You can't carry the car your head and because you're in a hurry. So the same thing. If we want it to work, then the issue of being in haste, getting the things that is snap of your finger will not come in. Because the operators must understand that whatever the government is putting in place is for their own good. So that's why government must be involved. For security people to be involved, that means government has to give a backing, create the enabling environment. Like I was saying, if today the government says background check is compulsory for every transaction, that means people like us and other background check company will come into business. And that makes strategy to become available. Because if this one fail, we'll sit down and say, why did it fail? But since it's not compulsory, whatever happens, well, why should I spend my energy? Let me look for something else to do. So the government needs to create an enabling environment that will make background check work. And then the operators need to understand that there are certain things that you can't hurry. If you put on your laptop, no matter how much you're in a hurry, you have to wait for it to boot. Right. So the same thing. So if the operators understand that in this business, there's no being in haste, you have to go through all the process of checks, then their business will be safe.
No pain, no gain. Well, let me come to you on this particular one. A lot of people said this sort of problems have thrown open challenges being faced with these sort of businesses. Yeah. So we talk about capacity and then training for practitioners. If it's open to everyone to do the vetting process, like they like to call it, a number of agents who you want to use to hire house helps or assistants or drivers and set up mini agencies, employment agencies, and say they've done the background on vetting, and you suddenly find out that they haven't even checked if the person's degrees are accurate, all of that. Is this an all-comers affair, or people involved in sort of businesses will have to spend money in getting the right people to handle it? And are they properly trained? And you have enough people who can do the vetting process as a lot of businesses begin to go online?
Now, I'll still come back to the issue of government.
Okay.
Now, I run a background check company at a very, very huge cost. Now, if the government steps in and says background check is compulsory, background check practitioners have this advantage, have this facility, then I go in to take the facility and reduce my cost. But because government has not stepped in, there's no facility, everything that comes out of it is me. So once they do that, other practitioners will come in. I'll be able to train, because I know I have get facilities for the government to train my officers. Then the numbers of officers that I will need will be more, because I know that I have a facility to train them. Now, one person doing the job of 5 people is because there's not enough fund. But when there's a fund, then each person will handle every section. Now, coming to talk about these agencies that hire and all that, fine. Because it is not a law, it's not a policy. I can tell you, I've done background check for this guy. Please, you can go ahead. And then when anything happens, I don't understand. We did background check. Now, first of all, you are not a professional, so you don't even know what and what you are looking for. So, but it's the professional that will tell you, look, this is what you should check.
I was going to come
yeah,
to
it's what we said.
when some of these agencies say background check, they're saying where the person's parents live, what schools they attended, just personal information.
Exactly.
What should the background check be about?
Now, first thing first, you don't do background check with telephone. Because the person at the other side, you don't know the person speaking. So if there's an arrangement, I tell you, look, they will call you. Just tell them that you're my father, you're my mother, I'm a good person, this and that. But each category of staff have different parameters. So for housemaid, whom you don't even know from anywhere, he's not educated, he doesn't have anything at stake, he doesn't have a social net worth, he doesn't have financial net worth. So you go back to the basics. Who are the parents? So if the parent is in Kotangora, you send people there to Kotangora. That's why I said it's at a huge cost. You send people to Kotangora and say, do you know XYZ? Mary. Say, yes, Mary is my daughter. Good. You are the father. Who is the mother? This is the mother. She will be working with my client and will hold you responsible if anything comes up. He said, yes. That's on one side. Mary, has she done a housemaid job before? Yes. Where? At XYZ. You go to the place and the previous employer say, Mary says she has worked with you before. What was her attitude and character when she worked with you? Oh, she's a nice person. Oh, we're even looking for her. She stole my wristwatch of 1 million naira and ran away. That has been revealed. So that's with that, you would have nipped it in the bud for her not to commit that same crime in the current employer's place. Then the guarantors. Who are people guaranteeing, who are standing as guarantors for Mary? Now, very funny thing, some make guarantor like a caricature activity. They'll give the person the form, say go and give it to your guarantor. The person goes to bring back the form with a passport attached. Who is the owner of the passport? You don't know. Who filled the form? You don't. I can as well stop in the corner, go to a photographer shop, pick a passport in Ghana, and stick it on it and fill myself. I come and give you.
Well, this sounds like so much work to be done, but let's address something because it's becoming like almost there's nothing you cannot buy online.
Yes.
I mean, name it, anything, property.
Except humans.
Except, okay, yes, humans. Why?
No,
because you can,
humans are so-
well. So this is big
Legally,
business.
Yeah.
And then you have talked about, how even the dealers are not really, haven't thought through the processes and all that they are supposed to be doing. But tell us something, there are a few of them who I have had personal experiences with who actually come to your office. But the huge challenge is, we know what the address system is like in Nigeria. Random number 8, Aino Street. That's it. That passes for an address. So if I even come, what's the bus stop? And all, so it's not sufficient to track people based on the addresses they provided.
Yeah.
So how do we solve the problem of identity, even with recognizing or tying people who are online transacting business to their physical places of residence?
And I think that's a different ballgame altogether.
Well, it's related to security because for every
yes.
time you're making the transaction, they ask for your address just for the purpose of delivery.
Yeah, but
Now, somebody can, just go by an address that is not even his home or whatever for criminal reasons, and then fix or fill that address, commits the crime, and then you can't trace him from what he provided as regards the information. Because we talked about background check. Even with all of this, we have a challenge with really the address system and how you can tie people to where they live.
Now we have a challenge with that because the Nigerian cities as cosmopolitan cities are not planned cities. So the issue of address, what the issue of address will always come up. So I think we'll take a case at every case as it comes. So if somebody says he lives at number XYZ and it becomes a challenge for you to trace the place, or because you look at the place is going to give you a challenge, then suggest a meeting point, the nearest meeting point, maybe an eatery, maybe a company, so that rather than taking the items to the person's house, meet at an agreed point that is close to the place, so that it will be an open transaction. What you want is your item, not the person's face. So that's number one. Then number two, if you have any form of identity, scan and send to us. So at least you know the person you are dealing with. So rather than go to people's houses, find a place. That's peculiar to Nigeria anyway because of the nature of our cities. But ordinarily, you can go to people's house based on the other. But now that it has become an issue like this, get a place, a nearby, or you have let the practitioners or the stakeholders create a spot where they will always meet, rather than go to people's houses. So this place says he's coming to Ikoyi. So okay, Ikoyi, meet me. I'll meet you at Silverbird Galleria, and I'll give you your item there, and you collect your money. Now, good enough, GSM is around, so you can always track yourselves with GSM and the meet. So they should think of such option. But talking about addresses, that is not what we can address as far as security is concerned. It's the issue of the government.
Peculiarity with the different situations that come by. Thank you very much, Frank Oyorhigho, who is a background check consultant. We're talking about online business and safety issues, the aftermath of a number of cases of death, killings, murders that have followed online business transactions in major cities in the country. Thank you very much, sir, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, take a quick break and we come back. The show will continue. Please stay with us.